mundo, bienvenido a mi canal. Yo me llamo Sirey. Soy una abogada afro-latina licenciada practicando la ley criminal, pero como todos ustedes, a mí me fascina cuando estamos hablando de casos de crímenes reales. En este video vamos a hablar del caso. Bueno, espérate. Vamos a seguir hablando del caso de Susan Lorincz. Si quieren más video en español, nada más dime allá abajo. Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Desiree. I'm a licensed and practicing Afro-Latino criminal attorney who, much like the rest of you, has a severe fascination with true crime cases. Listen, you guys, I thought we were completely done with this case, but something just relatively recently came on my radar, and I just knew I had to share it with you guys. The level of foolishness, the level of audacity, the level of sheer disrespect that Susan has exhibited throughout the entire course of the entire proceeding, everything, all of these cases, all of it, was something that we're just not going to ignore. So without further ado, let's get into it. Today, we're going to continue the discussion into the case of Susan Lorincz. If you guys will remember, and we're not going to recap the entirety of the story, but let's just talk about some little important details. Susan Lorincz was the Caucasian senior citizen from Florida, and race matters in this story, and I'll tell you why. So Susan Lorincz had some issues with her neighbor, a Black woman by the name of Ajika Owens. Ajika Owens had 2 sons, and Susan was just out to get them because she was a miserable old bitch, right? So anyways, one day, Ajika Owens' sons were playing in some general open field that did not belong to Miss Little senior citizen, but she took it upon herself to tell the boys to leave. She grabbed a pair of skates, hurled them at the boys, and told these little Black boys in the middle of the South to go fetch. I'm not sure if I said this in the last video where we talked about Susan Lorincz, but she had also admitted in a police interview that she had called the little Black boys the N-word on multiple occasions, or at least on one occasion, out of anger. So yes, I think race plays a factor into this. Long story short, Ajika Owens is a mama bear. She went to Susan Lorinc's door after Susan Lorincz told her little Black boys to go fetch in the South over some roller skates that weren't even on her property to confront Susan about what she had done. Now Susan wanted to cry and play victim and woe is me. And she shot Ajika Owens to her death through her closed front door.
We begin with a verdict in the trial of a neighborhood feud that turned deadly. On trial was the homeowner who was complaining about children playing near her house. After the mother of the kids went over to confront her, prosecutors say she was fatally shot right through the closed front door. Amber Cogliano reports.
We, the jury, find the defendant is guilty of manslaughter.
Guilty. The 60-year-old woman who opened fire through her front door and shot a neighbor dead is convicted of manslaughter. Relatives of the 35-year-old victim could be seen weeping in court as the verdict was read. The fatal shooting was the climax of a long-running dispute Susan Lorincz was having with her neighbor in Ocala, Florida, over children playing on her block.
Every time I turn around, the kids are always screaming and stuff like that. Someone's throwing stuff at this window.
When the victim, mother of 4, A.J. Owens, knocked on Lorentz's front door demanding to speak with her, Lorincz shot her through the door. She told cops she was acting in self-defense and didn't intend to kill anyone.
Was your goal to shoot and kill her?
No,
What was your goal?
to shoot and hopefully, she'd hear the shot and dissipate.
In a dramatic moment in the trial, the front door with a bullet hole was brought into court. The victim's mom spoke out after the verdict.
My heart is a little lighter, and we're now on the path of true healing.
At trial, and if you guys will remember this, and I'm literally just summarizing based on the best of my memory. So if you guys want exactly what happened, a play-by-play, go back and watch the old video, okay? I'm just summarizing based on what I remember. And remember, I talked to you guys about a lot of cases. But neither here nor there. At trial, Susan and her defense team portrayed her as this lowly old woman who literally couldn't do anything. And she was scared for her life. And she was just in such fear. And Ajika Owens was this big bad wolf who was half her age. and all this bunch of crap.
Allow your minds to wander back in time to June 2nd of 2023. In the Quill Run of Ocala, 1662, Southwest, 107th Lane, apartment number 3. The apartment where Susan Lorincz lived. She had just gone through the path. Ajika Owens, her neighbor, come to her door and pounded that door violently for minutes. And Susan shot through that door. And the evidence will show is that she shot through that door for self-defense. And she was terrified that A.J. Owens was going to break down that door and pulverize her. The evidence will show that Susan, at the time, was almost 59 years old, living alone in this tiny little apartment, 800 square feet. There was only one door that she could reach by. And in front of that door was A.J. Owens. An individual that was taller, that was 24 years her junior, and that outweighed her by 8 years. You will hear that Susan Lorincz was 59 years old, but had a multitude of medical infirmities. So physically, she was a lot older than 59 years old. And it was at this point, after she went through this hell, she called 911.
What is the address of the emergency? 162 Southwest 37th. The puppy started to try to break down my door. I'm sorry. Okay, repeat that address for me to make sure I have it correct. 162 Southwest 137th. Okay, what is your name? Okay, what's going? Take a deep breath for me. Calm down. You said someone tried to break down your door. Is that correct?
But long story short, she was convicted of manslaughter, and she has been sentenced to 25 years.
To have a tremendous harm inflicted upon this family and the victim's family. So what I'm going to do in this case is she being adjudicated guilty of manslaughter with a firearm and order to serve 25 years in the Department of Corrections. Credit for 538 days. The $100 cost of prosecution, $100 fine, court cost. Good luck to you, ma'am. You have 30 days to appeal. Is the defense requesting the appointment of public defender for purposes of appeal?
Yes, sir. Just a few more things I want to put on the record.
Yes,
There was never an offer by the state. The state had asked us to make any reasonable offers. Ms. Lawrence chose not to do that, just for the record.
Okay.
We also did not file a stand your ground motion for strategic purposes. That was also discussed with Ms. Lawrence as well. Just wanted to put that on the record. That's it, Judge.
I will appoint the public defender for purposes of appeal. Good luck to you, ma'am.
As Susan is serving her sentence in Homestead Correctional Institution in South Florida, Ajika's mother, rightfully so, filed a wrongful death civil suit against Susan Lorincz. So why are we here today, you might ask? Well, it's because Susan Lorincz responded to that civil suit, and in her response, she said or implied or threatened, or however you want to see it, that she was going to sue Ajika Owens' sons.
In our spotlight this morning, the Florida woman convicted of shooting and killing her neighbor says that she intends to sue the victim's family. Susan Lorincz was found guilty of manslaughter after she shot Ajika Owens through her locked door in 2023. She was sentenced to 25 years in prison and maintains that she was being harassed by Owens and her children. Here, she's being interrogated by deputies after the shooting.
I just remember being terrified that she was banging and screaming and I just remember hearing her say, "I'm going to kill you." I was in fear for my life. I mean, honest to God, I just feared that she was going to come through that door. I'm sorry, that's how I felt. And I can't change the way I felt. I mean, it was sheer terror on my part. I mean, honest to God, I was shaking.
So fast forward to now, Ajika Owen's mother has a wrongful death lawsuit pending against Susan Lorincz. So apparently, in response, in a handwritten letter, Lorincz says she wants to countersue for slander, libel, and defamation of character. And she says she wants to sue Ajika Owen's mom, her minor children, and her landlord. I think this woman needs to go have a seat somewhere.
I got my hands on that letter. And just because we need to have everything out in the open, let's go ahead and discuss what exactly Susan is claiming. As you guys can see, this is a handwritten letter that Susan wrote from behind her prison cell. In it, she says, in response to general allegations, Ajika Owens and her children were trespassing. There were multiple no trespassing signs on the property. Miss Owens did in fact scream, threaten to beat me multiple times while trespassing. Miss Owens was instructed to stay off the property with her children by the county sheriff's department. At no time did I file erroneous allegations. Miss Diaz was not present and in another state until Ajika died. Miss Owens did not knock politely and speak reasonably on June 2nd of 2023. He pounded and screamed profanities like a lunatic. Miss Owens's children had lied to her and stated I hit, name of the child is obscured here, but with a roller skate. During his encounter with the prosecutors, Buxman and Smith, and then again, the child's name is obscured, recanted that the roller skate hit him and only came near him. Assault and battery charges were dropped. In depositions, all the children told different stories about the location and the time of the shooting. One of the children was over 60 feet away at the mailboxes. The female juvenile who testified at the trial stated she was an eyewitness to Ajika Owens throwing a metal sign and seeing said sign strike me in the leg. I was 7 weeks post-operative for my neck fusion. Name of child, again obscured, testified in his depositions that Miss Owens would come onto my sidewalk by my patio and threaten to fight me. He testified that she was trying to scare me so that I would stop calling Marion County sheriffs. 2 of the named children, depositions, named child, and his sister, another named child, would come over to my apartment and do ding dong ditch, which is when children knock on your door and run away. One of the named children also testified that another named child struck Miss Lorincz with a water bottle in his depositions. The fact that Miss Diaz is now asking for money goes directly against her saying no for the family in the sentencing paperwork. I now wish to countersue for slander, libel, and defamation of character for damages that exceed $50,000. Miss Diaz and the children individually and Charles Gabbage for not securing the property correctly and allowing Miss Owens and her children for harassment, physical threats of harm, and mental duress. And here you can just see the envelope with which Miss Lorincz mailed this letter to the court. So my thoughts, generally speaking, on this is that Susan has lost her ever-loving mind. She just lost it. She's insane. She's insane. She's a quack and she's a Looney Tune. Here's what's interesting. What do I tell you guys? Or maybe I haven't talked to you guys about it very much specifically because civil's not really my expertise. But long story short, one of the defenses to defamation is truth. I don't understand how you can claim that these boys are defaming you by telling their truth. You were convicted in a court of law based on these boys telling their truth. So now trying to countersue for $50,000 claiming that your reputation is so damaged is kind of ludicrous. Wouldn't you guys agree? I wanted to give Susan the spotlight she so desperately craves because she wrote this letter from behind her prison cell to try to sue some underage kids. She's a quack, she's a loony, and she's a lame. But we're not going to spend any more of our precious, precious time talking about her. I want you guys to let me know what you think about the letter down below. Let me know your thoughts. If you haven't watched the video, go back and rewatch the video where I talk about exactly what happened in the Susan Lorincz and Ashika Owens case. Tell me your thoughts on this story and anything it is that you want to let me know down below. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. Please be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Until next time, y'all take care.